Faster my good evening and welcome to the Manx Radio Folk Show with me, John Barker, playing you the best in folk and roots music from the Isle of Man and from all around the world. Let's start with some impressive vocals from the Bothy band.
Vein in fetter full man in vein in fetter full man in Newland and back on the man vein mit gresser and adding na marik net in you see and born and born and born and born and born and born born of a full yelling and born and born and born and born and born and born of a full I do she that in the show I do she that in the show I do she that in the show vein mit gresser and adding na marik net in you see and born and born and born and born and born and born born of a full yelling and born and born and born and born and born and born of a full vein in fetter full man in vein in fetter full man in Newland back on the man vein mit gresser and adding na marik net in you see and born and born and born and born and born and born of a full yelling and born and born and born and born and born and born of a full I do she that in the show I do she that in the show I do she that in the show vein mit gresser and adding na marik net in you see and born and born and born and born and born and born of a full yelling and born and born and born and born and born and born of a full Ursting off, we need me ursting off, all of me ursting all, is an all, a van in Norris and all, Garaka, do you see? And a born and born and a born and born and a born and born of a full of yelling and a born and born and a born and born and a born and born of a full of.
I'll sing you this October song, though there is no song before it. The words and tune are none of my own, though my joys and sorrows bore it. Beside the sea of Bramley Briars, in the still of evening, the birds fly out behind the sun, and with them I'll be leaving. The fallen leaves that jewel the ground, they know the art of dying. They fall with joy in their glad gold hearts, and their scarlet shadows lying. When hunger calls my footsteps home, the morning follows after. I swim the seas inside my mind, the pine trees laugh green laughter. I used to search for happiness, and I used to follow pleasure. I found a door inside my mind, that's my greatest treasure. Some rulers like to lay down laws, and rebels like to break them. The poor priests like to march in chains, and God likes to forsake them. Well, I knew a man, his name was Time, and he said I must be going, but just how long ago that was, I have no way of knowing. Sometimes I want to murder time, sometime when my heart's aching, but mostly I'll just stroll along the path that he is taking.
Well, that very nice version of the Incredible String Band's October song, Just in Time, was by John Wilkes, who, as well as being a great guitarist and singer, runs the Tradfolk website, which is well worth a visit. I might play the original version of that song next week, or maybe I'll wait till next October. We'll see. If you watch the video of that track on YouTube, you can search John Wilkes October song, you'll see he's playing a lovely filed Oberon guitar, and I'm lucky enough to have just got one of those myself. It's a very beautiful thing. And that reminded me of the double album that Roger Bucknell of File Guitars put together called Strings That Nimble Leap, where a very large range of artists who play filed guitars donate a song for charity. There's some great music on it, and I'm going to play you a few tracks from it tonight. This first one is by Megan Henwood, and it's all about Roger Bucknell and his guitars. It's called Mr. Housefire.
Fire, don't take my guitar. Been playing for some years now. Suppose I've come quite far, and I've got scales to pick and chords to strum. You can destroy the electric, but spare the wooden one. Oh, Mr. Housefire, don't harm the acoustic. My comfort in the evening. Housemate's grown to like it. She's my business partner, the tool of my trade. And I never could replace her if you smothered her in flames. Hey, Mr. Housefire, if you cremate my cocoa, I would be bereft without her. She goes everywhere that I go. My career would soon go under, singing my songs in a cappella. Burn my books and melt my records, but save her from ash and ember. Let me reminisce. Took the train to Penrith, awkward pose by the bridge. My faux fur coat was far too big. Familiar sawdust on the floor. Joined the frames upon the wall. Didn't feel deserved at all, but the welcome was so warm. So please, Mr. Housefire, she's a whiskey one of a kind, a unique handmade custom. I'm so lucky that she's mine, built by a craftsman, a kind man. I love her like a child. I beg you, Mr. Housefire, burn it all except the fire.
Lovely bit of distortion finishing that track, almost Neil Young-like. And after all, the Aerialists, that's who it was, are a 5-piece band from Toronto in Canada, of course, as is Mr. Young. That was called Father Swan's Story, and it's from their new album I Lost My Heart on Friday, which you can find on Bandcamp, and you can check them out at their website aerialistsmusic.com. I'll play something else from that in a forthcoming week. And now my first returning guests of the folk show. We've got Elizabeth Davidson-Blythe and Daniel Quayle joining me in the studio. It must be 2 years since you were last here.
Yeah, that's about right. I thought it was yesterday when we came in. I couldn't believe it was 2 years ago. And I'm so honoured that we're your first returning guests.
Oh, it's a great pleasure for me. It's so nice to have different voices on the show, and I'm sure we all appreciate that. So how are you both doing?
Fairly well, yes. We've been working on some recording stuff, so that's all very exciting. So we're thrilled about that, aren't we?
Okay, because last time you came in, you were promoting the Coast Road, fantastic album, which we played an awful lot. Tell me what you've been up to since then.
So this new album is something a little bit different. And I started writing the first tunes off this album basically right after we released the Coast Road. So this has been a big part of what at least my musical experience has been since we were last on the show. Has been writing tunes. Like I said, it's a bit different. It's something that is using new instrumentation, and we're exploring some new ideas in traditional music, I think, especially traditional Manx music.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. A little more about that, perhaps?
Yeah, we've been working with Keith Morrison, a producer in Lewis, who he's, I think, best known for his band Face the West, and he's been helping us sort of work through new instrumentation, arrangement ideas, sort of trying to have another voice, and then sort of bringing other things at us, and we have to sort of catch the ones that we like and throw away the ones we don't. It's very exciting.
Does this mean that you're working with some musicians that you've not worked with before?
Yes, we are. We were talking about this morning, actually, whether or not to say this on the show, but I think we have to, because I'm so excited about this. I'm jumping out of my seat. We got a guest for this next single, so not Revival of the Fittest, but we're releasing our second single, which is called Ursa Major.
Oh, good title.
Oh, thank you. And I had this idea when I wrote the tune. It's a slower track. I had been listening to a lot of Dire Straits at the time, and became a bit obsessed with Mark Knopfler's guitar playing, as I think many people are. And I had this idea that I really wanted to incorporate electric guitar into a slower trad track.
Nice.
And so I think we were in Australia, and you played me some of a Manx blues guitarist, Davy Knowles.
And so, yeah, we've got Ursa Major featuring Davy Knowles on the 1st of November.
Oh, that's a great combination. Well, we can't play that tonight, unfortunately, because you're still busy mixing it, I believe.
Yes, but it's always interesting to sort of go, what Manx musicians can we incorporate from sort of outside the trad scene?
No, brilliant. Yeah,
so it's
definitely
been interesting trying to incorporate other parts of the Isle of Man's rich tapestry of musicians.
For sure. And I think when you played me, I have such a vivid memory of I was driving along in Australia, and you put something on Spotify, I think, and I just immediately, I didn't even know that it was Davy Knowles, to be honest, and we had been talking about what Manx musicians and what other people who are involved in the Manx music scene can we have involved in this album. Had no idea that you were playing Davy's music, and just went, I want that. I don't know what that is, but I want it on this track, on the album. And then he was so lovely. I sent him an email, and he's just been the best to work with.
Oh, I really look forward to hearing that. I've known Davey since he was about 13 or 14, so he used to come along with his late dad, Tony, and play at the Blues Festival that we used to run in Laxey for many years. So,
my goodness. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because I'm sure lots of people on the island have those sorts of memories with him and everything.
Absolutely.
So it's a real honour to collaborate with him.
That's fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. And so the album, though, won't be out for quite a while, the album as a whole, but you tell me you're going to release a number of singles on the way towards that release.
Yes. We've written the majority of the album, but unfortunately, it's not recorded yet, so
Okay.
it can't come out.
You say that, but I just was writing another track for the album, last night at
That's-
4 a.m., something like that.
It's either going to be a very long album or a very short album, depending on what order we get things written and recorded in.
So what is the recording process for you? Are you recording from home and then emailing lots of stuff around and sharing the tracks?
Yes, we've become big fans of Dropbox.
Yes.
We have some drafts, don't we? And then they go off to Scotland
Yeah,
for some
we do.
inspection.
It's a really different experience, I think, than recording the Coast Road, where we went into a studio,
Yes.
to Clockwork Studio in Estonia, for a week and a half, and laid down all the fiddle and bouzouki and piano tracks. And this album feels like it's sort of given us a lot of space to work. So it was a long process writing. I think the Coast Road we wrote in about 6 weeks, and then this one, it's been 2 years now in the making, and there's been a very relaxed attitude towards, like, maybe this is becoming an album, and let's see what happens, and maybe and all this. And the recording process hasn't really been that different. It's been us having ideas, sending them to Keith, he works on them, sends them back, we do the whole thing again. So it's been lovely.
It's been a lot of we've sent all of our drafts over to Keith, and then he sort of goes, oh, I fancy working on this one now, and we'll be walking along Douglas Promenade or something, and then suddenly get an email going, here's an idea for this track.
That's the modern world, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very different, as you say, from going into a studio. Both have their advantages, I'm sure.
Yes.
So what are your plans over the next year, would you say, leading up to the release, which is sometime in 2025?
Yeah, so we'll release this album in around June. We haven't set an exact date yet, but we have an agent now that we've signed with in the UK, and he's wonderful, and he's working on everything that we'll be doing for the next year. We've got some really exciting festivals in the works, actually, that we've not played at yet, both in the UK and further afield. So we're really looking forward to that, and we've got an album release tour that will be in June.
That's fantastic. Excellent. Well, hopefully I might catch you somewhere on a festival or something. You never know. So I'm going to play the only track that's available at the moment. It's the title track of the album. Oh, I noticed, by the way, on social media, fantastic artwork as well for the album. Tell us a little bit about that, can you?
So we had some different ideas originally, and I was sort of despairing about finding album artwork that I thought would really suit the music, because we're doing a lot of cross-genre work and trying to bring in a lot of new things, like Mark Knopfler style guitar and loads of synths, and some of it sounds very gritty and some of it sounds very soft, and I was despairing on finding anything that would suit that. But yeah.
Yeah, and then we found an artist in America who had a couple of pieces up online for sale, and we were looking, and we sort of asked about various different pieces, and we found some really, really beautiful pieces that already existed, that he'd already done, and which just fit the music so well, and we contacted him and sorted all of that out. So we're very excited to share the rest of the artwork as well for the other singles, because they are beautiful pieces of art.
Yeah, they're quite futuristic, aren't they? Which I think, from what you're saying about the music that's coming, that sort of fits into that theme.
Absolutely. And I really love, being a woman in trad music, I love featuring sort of a strong female fictional character that he's created on the first single. That felt, for Revival of the Fittest, that felt really fitting for that first single.
And so, what can you tell us about this single, Revival of the Fittest? As our listeners might recognise a tune that is incorporated into the...
They may well do. We've been playing this set. Originally, it sort of came together for us representing the Isle of Man at Lowender in Cornwall. And we needed to think of different ways of interpreting some Manx traditional tunes, and also building it into that inter-Celtic theme of the festival.
Yeah.
So we start off with an Irish traditional tune, Patsy Hanley's, and then I believe Elizabeth wrote the next one.
Yeah, so I had written The Grave, which is the middle tune. I was feeling very emo and angsty. Probably about almost a year and a half ago now, I think, and it sort of sat for a long time until, like you said, we were going to Lowenda, and it fit as a sort of darker piece to these other two beautiful tunes, because we've got the Manx tune Unisachphona as the last featured tune in that track, and it fit as a nice sort of change in tone for the whole thing. And then you end with this lovely celebration of a tune that I have always loved playing as long as I've been here. And
it's a wonderful tune.
I think there's something really wonderful about the fact that it sounds a bit like Ding Dong Merrily on High. It's just sort of that Christmassy
now
joy.
You've put that in everyone's mind.
Yeah.
No one's going to be able to escape it, are they?
I know. It's fantastic. I love it.
Well, thanks so much for coming in, Elizabeth Davidson-Blythe and Daniel Quayle. It's been a pleasure to hear from you again, and we really look forward to hearing more and more tracks. But in the meantime, here is Revival of the Fittest by Elizabeth Davidson-Blythe and Daniel Quayle. Just before Daniel and Elizabeth disappear into the sunshine this morning, they are actually promoting the Steve Knightley gig, which is coming up very, very soon. Tell us a little bit about that and how you met Steve.
So we had the absolute pleasure of hearing Steve perform with Show of Hands when we were at Folk on the Pier back in May. I had never seen Show of Hands before, and I had goosebumps and or cried the entire gig, which is saying something when you get to hear a lot of music when you're on the road. And it just absolutely blew me away. And he mentioned that he had never been to the Isle of Man before and had always wanted to come and perform. And so we were sat in August, and it's been such a last minute pulling it all together, but it's been lovely. We were sat in August, and I think I just turned to you and said, why don't we do this? Why don't we try to promote a gig and get him here? And people seem really interested in it, and Show of Hands is really popular, and Steve's solo stuff is wonderful. The new album is just incredible. Okay, so just give us the details of the gig and how to get tickets.
It is on the 30th of October at the Aeronauts Centre. Doors at 7:30. Tickets are available online.
They'll be at the Aeronauts Centre website, I'm
there's
sure.
There's a link on the Aeronauts Centre website. There's also a QR code on the posters, which you'll find around the island, especially in the south.
Well, thanks for telling us about that, and thanks again for coming in, Elizabeth Davidson-Blythe and Daniel Quayle. And I'll play something from Steve Knightley's new album next week. In the meantime, there's lots of other fantastic gigs that are coming up, including on the 8th of November, the wonderful Jez Lowe at the Institute in Laxey, and on the same night, unfortunately, but what a choice to have, you can go and see Christine Collister promoting her Children of the Sea album at the Aeronauts Centre. That's on Friday, the 8th of November. And Christine's going to be coming into the show next week to tell us all about that, which of course is very exciting. So here's a track from Christine from her album Children of the Sea. This is Fenella Beach.
There is no light like the first kiss of morning on the sea. There is no higher delight than the waves that set me free. As the birds dive straighter than love, circling the cove now, far, far above, like my heart when it pounds with the rhythm of the waves. In the cold crystal water, I'm born over again. There are no words heard by my shell-like ear. When my heart starts listening, then everything is clear. As the birds dive straighter than love, circling the cove now, far, far above, like my heart when it pounds with the rhythm of the waves. In the salt spray I'm born over again. Hear me now, sweet water, listen well when I say I love every drop, every ripple and wave, every white horse that gallops, taking my breath away. How will I survive in the thrill of the moment? I feel so alive. Surrounded by magic, the castle and cave. My Fenelon's great beauty. In her waters I'm saved, as the birds dive straighter than love, circling the cove now, far, far above, like my heart when it pounds with the rhythm of the waves. In the salt spray I'm born over again. Every dip in the water, every swim in the sea. I love to swim in the sea. Every dip in the water, every dip in the water, baby, is precious to me. Is precious to me. So precious to me. So precious to me.
Great track there by Christine Collister, who will be here on the show next Tuesday night, telling us about that album and the gig that she's doing at the Erin Arts Centre. Let's have another track from the lovely album by Amy Leach and Alistair Paul, Six Sangs. This is More Love Maggie.
And they see love, yon herd of sheep, 100 must I own, but 2 or 3, and I'll grant them all take my mere love Maggie, gin she'll consent for to gang with me. Take ye consent, love, I darna gie, to herd your sheep high on yon heathery hills, and I'll grant them all to my mere love Maggie, gin she'll consent for to gang with me. And they see love, yon herd o' kye, 100 must I own, but 2 or 3, and I'll grant them all to my mere love Maggie, gin she'll consent for to gang with me. Take ye consent, love, I darna gie, to herd your sheep high on yon heathery hills, and I'll grant them all to my mere love Maggie, gin she'll consent for to gang with me. And they see love, yon ships at sea, 100 must I own, but 2 or 3, and I'll grant them all to my mere love Maggie, and she'll consent for to gang with me. Take ye consent, love, I darna gie, to herd your sheep high on yon heathery hills, and I'll grant them all to my mere love Maggie, and she'll consent for to gang with me.
Well, I heard that track and I thought I must play that on the show. That was Andy Statman from an album just released called Bluegrass Tracks, and that's Sycamore Street. I've never heard of him, but Andrew Statman is a noted American klezmer clarinetist and a bluegrass mandolinist. So there you go. I went searching on Discogs for the Wood Wilson Carthy album that's no longer available and managed to get hold of a copy, and from it this is a fantastic version of Lord Bateman.
Lord Bateman was a noble lord of high degree. He put himself on board a ship, some foreign country he would go see. He sailed east and he sailed west, sailed into proud Turkey, but he was taken and put in prison till his life grew quite weary. In their prisons they grew a tree, they grew it stout and grew it strong, and he was chained up all by the middle until his life was almost gone. But Turkey had one only daughter, as fair a lady as ever did see. She shed a tear, she set her mind, and she swore Lord Bateman she would go see. Do you have land? Do you have living? Does Northumberland belong to thee? What would you give to a brave young lady if out of prison she set you free? I have land, and I have living, and half Northumberland belongs to me. I'd give it all to a brave young lady if out of prison she would set me. She stole the key from her father's pillow, poured Lord Bateman her father's wine. Every health they drank together. Oh, I wish, Lord Bateman, you were mine. She's took him down to her father's harbour, found for him the ship of fame. Farewell, 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 Lord Bateman, I'm sure I'll never see your face again. Seven long years were gone and past. From her heart she had not not been free. She's packed up all her gold clothing, swore Lord Bateman she would go see. When she came to London City, she cried Lord Bateman through the town. Every stranger that did pass by her did lead her on to Northumberland. Is this called Lord Bateman's castle? Is his lordship here within? Oh yes, cried the proud young porter. Pray tell what news I may give to him. Go tell him send me a cart of bread. Go tell him send me a cup of wine, and to remember the brave young lady who did release him when he was confined. Away, away, to the proud young porter. Away, away, away went he. He cried, Lord Bateman, my lord and master, I'm sure Sophia has crossed the sea. She has got rings, rings on every finger, and round the middle one she wears 3. She has more gold all about her person, but to buy Northumberland from under thee. She tells you send her a cut of bread, and tells you send her a cup of wine, and to remember the brave young lady who did release you when you were confined. Lord Bateman then in silence fell. From his heart he had not been free. I'll give you all my father's stable if my Sophia has crossed the sea. Bateman then to his true love flew. From their hearts they had not been free. He's kissed her hand and he's kissed her cheek, and neither man nor woman speak, and never was love so complete since brave Sophia have across the sea.
Chris Wood there, singing Lord Bateman from the album Wood Wilson Carthy. That's Chris Wood, Roger Wilson and Martin Carthy. A fantastic album from 1998. Music happening around the album this week? Well, there's the session at O'Donnell's, of course, on Wednesday night. There'll be the Folk Club in Ramsey on Thursday night, a session at the Mitre in Ramsey on Friday night, and the Sunday afternoon session is the 3rd anniversary of the start of the Learners Session, which is on at the Woodburn from 4 till 6 p.m. Don't forget those fantastic gigs coming up. That's the 31st of October for Steve Knightley, the 8th of November for Jez Lowe at the Institute, also for Christine Collister at the Erin Arts Centre, and the 9th of November, the Centenary Centre for Levant du Nord. I said I'd play more tracks from the Foul Guitars album, Strings That Nimble Leap, but I've run out of time slightly, so I've just got one track here for you as the last track of the night. This is John Smith and Clive Carroll with Killing the Blues. I'll be back next week to play more great folk and roots music from the Isle of Man and from all around the world, so I'll see you then.
falling just like ember, in colors red and gold. They set us on fire, burning just like a moonbeam in our eyes. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over a white cloud, killing the blues. And I'm guilty of something I hope you never do, because there is nothing sadder than losing yourself in love. Somebody said they saw me swinging the world by the tail, bouncing over a white cloud, killing the blues. Now you ask me just to leave you, to go out on my own and get what I came for. You want me to find what I already had. Somebody said they saw